It's time for the Lee's Photography Coach's Corner. Live from Lee's Photography in downtown Ottumwa. Here's your host, Jason Van Arkel.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome into the Lee's Photography Coach's Corner on the air on 1240 AM, 102.7 FM KBIZ, and a live video stream at AttumwaRadioSports.com. Jason Van Arkel with you tonight. We've got Corey running the video part of it here on site, and Kyle is our producer back at the KBIZ studios. It's week 4 of the 2019 high school football season. We'll talk more than football tonight, but we'll start with football here as teams are getting ready for their final non-district games and hoping to go into district play next week on a strong note. Ottumwa will be taking on Mount Pleasant. It's homecoming for the Bulldogs this week. They'll face the Panthers tomorrow night at 7, a game you'll hear right here on 1240 AM, 102.7 FM KBIZ, and you'll be able to see right here on this same video channel the live video stream tomorrow night of the game on the Ottumwa Radio Sports Network. The Davis County Mustangs will play at home tomorrow night, a regional matchup. They're taking on the Pekin Panthers. Pekin 0-3, Davis County 1-2. That game down in Bloomfield, 7 o'clock tomorrow night. If you want to watch the game, we'll have the Mustang live video stream at AttumwaRadioSports.com. If you want to listen to the game, the Pekin broadcast is on 101.5 KISS FM. Ellis Kojo will have the Mustang call, and Scott Frazee will have the Pekin call. The Van Buren Warriors look for win number 1 on the season tomorrow night. They hit the road to take on Wayne. That game will kick off at 7 o'clock. Chris Arrett has that call on 92.7 KTWA. Now, as I said, we're talking mostly football as we do each week. We're going to talk Ottumwa High football in our first segment. Later on, we'll talk Cardinal football as they'll try to go 4-0 this week. They're at home for their homecoming playing North Mahaska. And then in the last 15 minutes or so, we'll sit down with Davis County head coach Kent Anderson. He's bringing a couple of players. Cardinals bringing a couple of players. We're going to talk to a lot of people tonight here on the show. And, as I said, it's not all football tonight. At about 6:25 or so, we'll switch gears and talk Ottumwa High girls swimming with their head coach, Cherie Langland. So we've got a full show for you here on the Lee's Photography Coach's Corner. Normally we take a break right here, but I want to get into it. As you can see, we've already got some of Ottumwa High's finest. To my left, defensive coordinator Joe Curran, kind enough to join us tonight, as well as outstanding linebacker Mitch Wood and outstanding safety Andrew Cole. And Joe, let's just get right into it with you. Last week, obviously, the final not what you wanted. And if we just look at the numbers from last week, that might tell one story. But I thought I saw a lot of improvement from your defense from the previous week, especially at a lot of points during that game at Newton last week. Where did you think you saw improvement from the defense, and where would you like to see the guys get better as they go into the Mount Pleasant game tomorrow night?
Well, I think really
Coming
as far as the strong side run, we did a much better job at Newton than we had previously, and then vice versa as far as, hey, when they came back weak side, that's where we had some issues and some troubles, and so that's where they got most of their big yards. But, we're playing against a more balanced offense this week as far as they don't go unbalanced and those type situations, so it's a little easier to get lined up. But they are a good offensive team. They can throw the ball and run the ball.
Last week, obviously, you guys got out to the early start. You had the early 3-and-out. Then adversity hit. They get the fumble return for a touchdown. And I hate to say anything critical, of course, but you guys, I know, would like to have handled that a little better. What are some of the things that defensively you guys can do? When you see the offense, they have a mistake, they have a turnover, what can the guys do defensively to handle that adversity better in that sudden change situation?
Yeah, I think that, we had to bend and not break, and there was a couple times where, we did break. It wasn't really, it got worse as the game went on. I think that, they had the ball longer, the big linemen, and they wore us down just a little bit. And they found something that was working on us on their first man, second man series, and continued to do it. And, on one play, it'd be one player out of position. On the next one, it'd be, another guy. And we really paid big for those and usually it was in the secondary as far as, hey, we got to go ahead and cover those things up so that instead of, 10 yards we can live with, but it's hard to live with 40 and 50.
Now, tomorrow night when you take on Mount Pleasant, you took a look ahead to the forecast. It'll be a warm night tomorrow night, more summer-like than fall-like. Certainly, temperatures probably still in the 80s at kickoff. What can you guys do as a coaching staff to help the kids handle the heat and not get worn down by the second half in what promises to be a very physical game against Mount Pleasant?
Yeah, I think, that's one thing that, we've dealt with really well during the year as far as the kids have practiced in the heat and, they've handled it really well. And, Coach Goodman preaches the water and bananas and kiwi and all that type of stuff, to help you, repair and recover and keep you from those tough situations. I think the first week, maybe Jesus had a cramp. I know we've had a few cramps on the way home after the games, but really, the kids have been really tough and, have adapted well to that. Now, looking at Mount Pleasant and, their size, especially on the offensive line, we're going to, hopefully our scheme will match that a little bit as far as, we're not as big as they are. So we'll do some things and hopefully, we'll have some big plays on defense too.
You talk about the size of their offensive line, and I know their left guard, I don't have his name in front of me, but I remember the measurement, 6'6", 335 pounds. There are guys playing in the NFL that aren't that big playing guard. You talk about using scheme to handle size. Obviously, you want to find ways to maybe use quickness to counter that size, but it's nothing you've seen before because I think every offensive line you've gone up against has had kids that were bigger than your D-line. It's not anything new for these kids by now.
Yeah, it's probably taken me a little while to get there. It's maybe one way you might think, Jason, as far as our kids have been there. But this is my first year back at D coordinator, and the way I looked at things at first was maybe as a guy who had coached a group that maybe we were a little bit bigger in size than this. So now the approach has to fit the team a little better, and I think you're going to see more of that tomorrow night. And I just think I know I've got some really good defensive players, and we're going to play every down, and we're going to we might bend, but we're not going to break. And if we can keep them from getting the big play, which we've been pretty decent about on the pass, but keep them from getting the big play, and maybe score once, because they're going to throw the ball also. That I think we're ready to play better.
And one more question about Mount Pleasant. We've talked already about their line. Their two running backs, both averaging, one's averaging 6 yards a carry, the other 7.5. Senior quarterback, he's run that offense before, 7 touchdowns, only 1 pick. So obviously they're skilled and they're experienced. But what has made them, and they've been really successful this year, what's made them a good offense through the first part of the season? And then what can you do to kind of slow them down?
Well, they're a team that can run and throw. So, it'd be nice to get them in some downs where, hey, they're trying to run their dive series and, hey, we handle that. Then we can get to where they spread out and they pass and maybe we're expecting a little more. But, what'll be tough is if we give up 8 yards on first down and then, they're looking at really having a good set of downs. They've got some really good play action. Like I said, both the backs are good. They've got some good receivers. But, again, on defense, I think we've got some players that, are going to make the plays. And, I like our scheme this week as far as what they're doing. And, so we're ready to take our chances.
All right, Joe Curran, the defensive coordinator for Ottumwa. We'll move down here to Mitch Wood, the star linebacker. 10 tackles and a tackle for loss last week against Newton, although obviously I'm sure you'd trade all that for a win in a heartbeat. You and Zach Ross are the top 2 tacklers on the team through the first 3 games, and as we said, 10 tackles a week ago. Obviously, you guys have done a pretty good job flowing to the football, getting to the football, making stops. But where would you like to see yourself improve? You've been through a third of the season now. Where do you want to get better?
I want to get better on stopping the run a little better than what I have been. I've been getting stuck inside and giving up runs to the outside, or vice versa, stuck outside and then coming right off my inside shoulder. So I'm just trying to work on, keeping that outside shoulder free and making the right reads and getting in the right gap.
Now, every team that you guys have played so far has been predominantly a run team. Mount Pleasant will be a little bit more balanced, but they still run it, I think, twice as much as they throw it. So on one hand, you might think, well, you get used to it. Teams run week after week. But how different has every team been? Because I know Newton's offense is unique. Mount Pleasant's offense is going to look different. Marshalltown, Burlington before that. How much different has it been preparing for each team each week?
Yeah, each week we have a scouting report on each team, and we come into that game knowing basically what they're going to be doing. So it hasn't been too hard because our coaches do a pretty good job on, setting us up for
Mm-hmm. And then, talk to Coach Curran about the size of Mount Pleasant. They've got big kids on that line. Or on their offensive line, and it's nothing new. And they're going to have that strong rushing attack. And I may have asked you this when you've been on the show before, but how do you overcome that size? How do you get yourself in position to make the plays you need to make?
We just got to play really tough. Being undersized, there's not much you can do besides just play tough. So that's what we got to focus on this week.
All right, Mitch Wood, and now I'll ask you to hand the headset over to Andrew Cole, the starting safety for OHS, who he gets to go first, and then in our next segment, his brother will come on, so Andrew can go over there and make faces at Gage, as Gage may be doing Andrew right now. But you guys had the hot start last week. You're up 7-0. You may be driving for another score, and then a disaster strikes, and it kind of snowballed on you a little bit. How do you guys learn from that experience? Because I know you looking back on it, you'd like to maybe do a little bit better at slowing down their momentum than you did. What do you take from that, and how do you learn from that?
We just got to learn how to handle things. And, as the season goes on, we get used to, handling different situations like that. Just handle it a little bit better next time so it doesn't affect us as much.
And last year's game against Mount Pleasant, for me, that was the most frustrating game last year because that was a game I thought you guys should have won and maybe won easily. The offense kept getting into Mount Pleasant territory and then turning the ball over, and things just didn't go right. And then the game got pretty chippy as well. This may be an obvious question, but how important is it to stay level-headed out there tomorrow night? Because those Mount Pleasant kids are going to come in. They're fired up. They want to beat a 4A team for the second year in a row. How important is it for you guys to keep your emotions in check?
You really got to stay calm. Otherwise, we can get into, a little bit of fight a little bit with the other team, which happened a little bit last year, which caused some problems later in the game with us losing a player, but...
And for the record, Tomo lost a player last year. Mount Pleasant didn't, and I'm not going to name names or anything, but that having looked back on some of the video, that player should have been gone. He wasn't. That's in the past. I just wanted to say that for my own benefit. But, again, Ottumwa Mount Pleasant tomorrow night. We've got plenty more to talk about with Ottumwa High football. We're going to bring in assistant coach John Lawrence and fullback Gage Cole and right guard Brody Slack. We'll talk a little more defense, a little more offense as Ottumwa gets ready to take on Mount Pleasant. So we'll take a quick 90-second timeout, switch out the personnel here, bring in a new package, if you will, and come back with more of the Lee's Photography Coach's Corner on the Ottumwa Radio Sports Network.
Are you looking for someone to capture the special moments in life, such as senior photos, weddings, family portraits, baby pictures, or even your furry friends? Look no further than Lee's Photography in Ottumwa to schedule your appointment. Brian, Connie, and the staff at Lee's Photography have the knowledge and experience to capture your special moments and make your vision come to life. Visit them on Facebook to see the range of their work. Lee's Photography on East 2nd Street, across from the Courier in Ottumwa, for all your all-around photography needs. Welcome back to the Lee's Photography Coach's Corner on the Ottumwa Radio Sports Network.
And we continue with the Lee's Photography Coach's Corner here on the Ottumwa Radio Sports Network, on the air on 1240 AM, 102.7 FM, KBIZ, and the live video stream at AttumwaRadioSports.com. I'm Jason Van Arkel. Still talking Ottumwa football for a few more minutes, joined now by linebackers and split ends coach John Lawrence, as well as right guard Brody Slack and fullback Gage Cole. And John, we'll start with you. We'll start with the linebacker side of the duties. We had Mitch on just a moment ago. Mitch and Zach Ross made a ton of stops for this team through the first three games. How much better can they be by the end of the season? What's their ceiling?
Oh, we still have quite a bit of stuff to work on. I mean, they've progressed quite a bit, but there's still little things like knowing your keys, not getting kind of flip-flopped, especially for the outside linebackers. Like if they make the wrong call, what they need to do, things like that. Getting more downhill a little bit, but they're definitely tough for sure.
Now, I got the depth chart from Coach Goodman yesterday, and Austin Fountain started last week, and now Kai Glosser is going to slide over and start this week. That means he's going to go both ways. Obviously, Austin's a young player. He's got a lot of room, a lot of talent, a lot of room to improve as well. What did you see out of him last week, and what does Kai bring to the table?
I mean, Austin, we asked a lot out of him last week for sure. I know he's just a sophomore, but he is definitely really tough too. But there's just some little things that he needs to work on more, and he'll definitely get more playing time. And with the scheme that we're going with this week, I think Kai is definitely the person for that job that we have him in. And I think because Kai's going both ways, we'll probably get Austin or some other guys in there to give him a break.
All right, and then switching to the offensive side, coaching the split ends. I know Trey Swartz is a tight end, so he's not in your position group. But they're splitting him out wide, and he was unstoppable until he got hurt last week. But then Blaze Rominger gets his chance to shine. He makes a couple of nice catches. He gets a touchdown on fourth down.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about how much he's grown, because he's not a name we really knew coming into the season, but he started to make a name for himself.
He's a really good kid. He has great hands. I work with him every day, and we're just working on that ball control, strong hands, holding on to the ball. I mean, he made some tough catches out there, took some hits off of him, and still held on to the ball. So he's a really good player. I'm glad he's on the team.
And how much more? I know that this offense is run first, and I know that Coach Goodman wanted from the day he took over the job, he wanted to install that toughness, that run game, that kind of that old school mentality, that Ottumwa mentality. But how much more can the passing offense, can the split ends contribute? Because it looks like there's plays out there, because everybody knows Ottumwa wants to run, so there's going to be opportunities for your guys.
I mean, we're run primarily first, and then when we need them, the Blaze or whoever's out there, they need to do their job, run the right routes, catch the ball, get open, So run first, and then when we need them, they need to make the play.
All right, and then maybe tailoring that towards tomorrow night's game, Mount Pleasant. They played pretty well in their 2 wins. Pella ran over them. That's not a surprise. Pella's a really good program, of course. But how good is that Mount Pleasant defense? And they've got a really good run defense when you look at their 2 wins. So they're concentrating on stopping the run. So is that somewhere where, and I don't want you to give away the game plan now, I know somebody from Mount Pleasant might be watching this show, but are there going to be opportunities, you think, in the passing game tomorrow night for Blaze and for the other guys?
I think so for sure. I mean, the things they're doing in practice, kind of the game plan they're going through, I think there'll be definitely some opportunities for Blaze or I guess Trey's out now, but the other wide receivers and the other split ends to get some catches for sure.
All right, John Lawrence, linebackers and split ends coach for Ottumwa High football, and checking the time here, only got a couple of minutes, and I know Coach Langland from girls swimming is eagerly waiting her opportunity to be on the show, but we want to get to right guard Brody Slack joining us for the first time on the Coach's Corner, Lee's Photography Coach's Corner, and let's talk about O-line play a little bit. The offense is averaging 187 yards on the ground per game so far. That's higher than it was through 3 games last year. You guys have shown improvement. What have you guys done well, and then where do you want to improve? What do you want to get better at?
Well, a lot this year we've been focusing on our run game, getting aggressive, getting to where we need to go, and when we get there, right pissed off, hit the guy hard. And
that's fine. You can say that.
A lot of that is getting there. When you get there pissed off, just arriving there like that gives the running back that much of a chance, because most of the time when you get like that, it knocks a guy off their feet, and keep your hands on them. That's what we've been working a lot on, shooting our hands, because on last year the big thing we had was when we'd shoot initially, we'd get our hands on them and we'd almost like pull them back and try to reshoot. This year when we make contact, we're trying to make contact for a reason and stay in contact and hoping it holes for our runners.
And one more quick question, maybe a lighter note. It is homecoming this week. What's homecoming like for a football player? There's all that stuff that kind of goes on around the school day and throughout the week. Do you enjoy all that stuff, or do you get to a point where you're saying, I just want to get to tomorrow night and play some football?
Homecoming week is another thing in itself. I mean, there's a lot going on throughout the week. You got powder puff, TP night, there's bonfire tonight. A lot of it's all fun and games, and, it gets you through the week, but it's all for the football game. Everybody's looking forward to that.
Brody Slack, the right guard for Ottumwa High. Now we'll have him pass the headset over to Gage Cole, who joins us for the second time this season. The Bulldogs' tough running fullback. And I'm going to ask you an interesting question, because every time I see you run the ball, someone hits you and you're not going down. You're dragging them, you're breaking the tackle, you're getting extra yards, and then you're taking extra hits. I want to know how you feel at the end of a game. Describe how you feel, because, you know, I love how you play. You don't quit. You're always getting that extra yard like I talked about. How do you feel at the end of the game? How drained are you, or how beat up are you?
At the end of the game, honestly, I feel like I should have got another yard. I feel like I should have kept going before I fell down, and I don't know. I feel like there's plays where I should have went for a first down instead of 1st and 9.
So you're not even thinking about the physical impact of the game. You're just thinking about where you could have gotten that extra yard.
Yeah.
And then I asked Andrew about last year's game, so I'll ask you as well. I know you guys would rather look forward than look back, but a year ago at Mount Pleasant, the offense had so many drives into their territory, came away with nothing. Does that memory of that game motivate you guys at all for tomorrow? And then maybe more practically, what do you guys need to do if you get into their territory? What do you have to do to finish those drives?
We just got to play hard and execute the plays really well. Passing plays will definitely come in hand in the red zone, and just execute them.
Ottumwa fullback Gage Cole with Brody Slack and assistant coach John Lawrence here as we wrap up our Ottumwa High football segment on tonight's Leaves Photography Coach's Corner. Again, Ottumwa hosting Mount Pleasant homecoming game tomorrow night, 7 o'clock at Schaefer Stadium. We're on the air and on the live video stream at 6:45. Coming up after this 90-second break, we'll switch gears, talk Ottumwa High girls swimming with head coach Cherie Langland. That comes your way next. The Leaves Photography Coach's Corner on the Ottumwa Radio Sports Network.
Are you looking for someone to capture the special moments in life, such as senior photos, weddings, family portraits, baby pictures, or even your furry friends? Look no further than Lee's Photography in Ottumwa to schedule your appointment. Brian, Connie, and the staff at Lee's Photography have the knowledge and experience to capture your special moments and make your vision come to life. Visit them on Facebook to see the range of their work. Lee's Photography on East 2nd Street, across from the Courier in Ottumwa, for all your all-around photography needs.
As a National Guard or Reserve member, you served your country. Now let VA serve you.
I wouldn't be here today as a successful woman without the help that I received.
Your VA honors your service by providing a wide range of veterans benefits. From home loans to job training, VA benefits can help with some of life's toughest challenges.
What's important about VA benefits is they don't just touch you as an individual. They can touch your parents, maybe your grandparents, your child.
Go to benefits.va.gov/guardreserve to learn more, including how to apply online using eBenefits.
I just finished a master's degree recently, and now I'm working on another degree as well. So the military made that all possible. My veterans benefits made that all possible.
No matter what the time is, apply for your benefits. You earn them. VA is ready to help you.
Achieve your next mission. Learn about and apply for your VA benefits today.
Welcome back to the Lee's Photography Coach's Corner on the Ottumwa Radio Sports Network.
And we continue with the Lee's Photography Coach's Corner on the Ottumwa Radio Sports Network. Jason Van Arkel with you from Lee's Photography in downtown Ottumwa. And obviously in the fall season, most of our talk has been about football, but we're going to talk girls swimming here, the Ottumwa girls swim team. I'm very pleased to be joined by their head coach, Cherie Langland. Coach, thanks so much for taking the time to come down tonight.
Thank you for having me.
All right, I want to, and I said this before we went on, and I'll admit it on the air in front of, thousands and thousands of people. I'm not as knowledgeable about swimming as I am about football, but I love watching the Olympics, certainly, and I've been tracking how Ottumwa High has been doing, and I want to start just kind of with an overview of your program. You've seen it grow from, 16 swimmers in your first year, and now you've got 50 in the girls program this year. Obviously, that growth is tremendous. What are some of the factors that have allowed the program to grow to where it is today?
Well, when I was first hired, as you mentioned, the team was at 16, and I really, when I got into coaching the swim team, my main objective was I saw it as an opportunity to get involved with youth and try to make a difference and try to make a positive impact. And I think part of that is making sure that the message is clear that all that everyone is welcome. And so we welcome all levels of experience, all levels of interest, and so we have girls that have grown up swimming, and then we have a huge number every year that are brand new to swimming and know, kind of like you're saying, they're familiar with the Olympics, but not necessarily so much about swimming. And so I think that message grew, that we, the main thing is that we want kids in high school to be involved. And so our feeling is, we're a lucky sport where everyone can participate. And, it's just the way swimming works. So we have unlimited entries in our duels, for example, in the 50 free and some of those JV events. And so every dual meet we have, every swimmer participates. And so I think that also adds to that ability to get that message out that everyone is welcome. And so another thing that's really helped us too is my second year, we brought back Shark Club. And so I was in Shark Club in the 80s at OHS. And Shark Club was a long time tradition for OHS. And sometime in the early 90s when the high school pool closed, Shark Club kind of got lost in the shuffle. And so I felt like Shark Club was an easier entrance into the pool than maybe swim team, where swim team could be a little more intimidating. So I worked with Mike Egbert, and Mike Egbert really understood the mission of that, and so he allowed us to start Shark Club back up. And so we started Shark Club back up, and that did serve that purpose of a kind of an easier entrance into the pool, then leading to the courage to join other activities. And for us, some of those activities those girls and boys chose, some of those activities thankfully led to swim team, and some of them led to other activities, which is the ultimate goal, is getting the youth involved.
Sure. And as you talk about that, another thing I've thought about, I've followed the team on Twitter certainly for a couple of years now, and I've seen the social media posts and things like that. And it seems to me that as your group has grown, the camaraderie, the team spirit, the bond between the girls has just been amazing. And obviously, no group is everybody's going to get along perfectly 100% of the time. But it seems like your team has such a bond that whether you win or lose or however the meet goes, the girls are always having fun. They're always in it, always supporting each other. I think that's just a great sign for your team and a great message to show people just. I'm losing how I want to phrase this here, but it's a great thing.
Well, and I can phrase it perfectly for you. It's something that we say all the time. I tell new swimmers that join our program, you'll be tired of hearing me say this line, but it is where we go one, we go all. So, and that is a message that we started second season, that line. And so that is crucial to us. We feel like if there is a swimmer in the water, you're supporting that swimmer. Where we go one, we go all applies in all of our action that we do with this program, and that leads to them being supportive of each other and projecting that positive message. One of the things we were just talking at practice tonight, every week we award a spirit cap, and that spirit cap is the person that week that we feel best exemplifies who we are, and we are integrity, honesty, hard work, and sportsmanship. And so always it is a difficult selection because those girls exemplify that behavior, and that's what's expected of them. And all action in our program is defined and expected within those boundaries. And so it's a hard selection every week of who wins the spirit cap, but there's always something that pops up. And like this week, it was Josie Lemons. She works super hard, but specifically last week at our Waterloo Invitational, I had a reporter pull me aside who said he had been reporting on swimming since 1986 and was specifically very moved by some of her action. He commented on the team as a whole, but then specifically pointed her out and talked about the action that he saw in her, and that was made her absolutely the clear winner this week of our spirit cap. So
I made it easy.
I made it easy.
Yeah. Now, This is a tougher question. This was a tough topic at the time, and thankfully the right decision was made in the end. I want to go back briefly to the original decision that would have kept the kids from outside the school district from being on the swimming team. That had to be devastating for those kids, especially with the bond they formed. Can you describe the work and the effort that went into convincing the school board to change its mind and let those kids stay on the team?
Yeah, that was, there are a lot of kids that was going to affect. There were probably, there were less than 10 swimmers that ruling was going to affect. But I will say the most heartbreaking person that I just couldn't shake was Lauren Kaldenberg. Lauren Kaldenberg, this would have been and is now her senior season with us. So had that decision stayed, she would have been forced to find a new program, new coach, new teammates, her senior season. And it was heartbreaking to think of losing all of those girls that we were so connected with and that were such a part of this Bulldog team. I mean, they wear their Bulldog shirts. They are Bulldog swimmers. And so that was heartbreaking thinking of losing all of those girls. Mm-hmm. But Lauren Kaldenberg, it was particularly heartbreaking knowing that she had to take her senior season somewhere to a new group. And so thankfully, yes, through a lot of hard work behind the scenes by a lot of people, just trying to educate the board and trying to educate people in general about the impact of that decision. And swimming is a unique sport, and that's what needed to be kind of conveyed to the board to help them understand the impact of that decision. Swimming isn't divided by classes. Swimming, we compete against the entire state. Mm-hmm. And so, and the entire state, we are competing against teams that have some of those teams have 9 or 10 schools around them forming their swim team. And that's just how swim team survives. And swimming also is a facility issue. A lot of these schools around just simply don't have a facility. And so it becomes, there's a lot of criteria in that decision. And so thankfully, very thankfully, the board became educated and understood how swimming is different in that way.
Sure. I have a bunch more questions I want to ask, and we've run out of time, and I definitely want to have you back on the show again because there's so much more we can talk about. And real quickly, you've got an invitational Saturday, I believe, at Marshalltown?
We do, yeah, we do. And we're excited about that because we have 3 relays that have the best chance in my 6 years of coaching this program, have the best chance of qualifying for state. And so that throws us into a great mix with tough competition, so it's a great opportunity to push us even more. Each week we get faster and moving in the right direction to hopefully the state meet.
All right, well, we will absolutely have you back on to talk about the progress, hopefully getting someone to state this year. And we'll talk more about this when we have her back on, but it'd be just another example of how this is really kind of a golden age for Ottumwa High girls athletics when you look at all the sports and all the success that they've had.
There are some incredible athletes in general at OHS.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's an amazing time for girls athletics right now. Cherie,
Definitely.
thank you so much. We'll certainly have you back on. Cherie Langland, the head coach of Ottumwa High girls swimming. They're having a great season. It's going to continue on Saturday. And then next Tuesday, a home duel with Des Moines Lincoln, 5:30 at the beach at Ottumwa. You'll want to be there. Coming up next, we'll switch back to football, and we'll talk Cardinal football as they try to go 4-0 tomorrow night. That comes your way next on the Lee's Photography Coaches Corner on the Ottumwa Radio Sports Network.
Are you looking for someone to capture the special moments in life, such as senior photos, weddings, family portraits, baby pictures, or even your furry friends? Look no further than Lee's Photography in Ottumwa to schedule your appointment. Brian, Connie, and the staff at Lee's Photography have the knowledge and experience to capture your special moments and make your vision come to life. Visit them on Facebook to see the range of their work. Lee's Photography on East 2nd Street, across from the Courier in Ottumwa, for all your all-around photography needs. Welcome back to the Lee's Photography Coaches Corner on the Ottumwa Radio Sports Network.
And we continue on the Lee's Photography Coaches Corner. I'm going to take the Ottumwa High helmet down now. I probably should have had a swim cap for Sheree Langland there, but we move back to football. We'll talk Cardinal football now here as we do the show from Lee's Photography in downtown Ottumwa. Cardinal getting ready to take on North Mahaska this week. The Comets trying to get to 4-0 for the second week in a row. And today we are joined by a special teams coach and offensive line coach, pardon me, Tyler Archer. I've been fighting a cough all week, sorry. Along with Jarrett Griner, offensive guard, defensive end, and quarterback Maddox Jones with us here on the show. And we've got a little crunch for time there, so we'll just start right off here. Last week, when Coach Miller was on the show, I asked him what he thought a bye week could do for the team. Now that you've been through the bye week, has it helped the team as much as it would seem like that you didn't have to play a game Friday night? Has it been as much of a help as you thought?
Yeah, we definitely took the week and got healthy. We thought we could go one of two ways. We could really get on them and, push them into going to a week where we have a homecoming game trying to win it for the first time in about 12 years. And then we kind of stepped back and said, got a lot of injuries, got a lot of guys that are kind of dinged up. So we said, hey, let's back off and let's, take a nice bye week going into homecoming.
Now, you put your attention on North Mahaska, and if we're being honest, they haven't played well through 3 games. Still, they'll line up 11 on 11, and last year they put up a lot of yards and put 20 points on the Comets. So, have the coaches had to say anything to the kids about remembering to take North Mahaska seriously, or after 3 weeks of winning in a bye, these guys pretty much locked in?
I mean, we're locked in. We've played North Mahaska the last 2 years. Both have been pretty solid games. So the first year was kind of a thriller. So 2 years ago, we went there. We were their homecoming game. They really wanted to get us. Ended up winning. They missed a field goal. We go down the field, kind of ice the clock out. Last year, it was tied going into halftime, so it was a close game. We pulled away in the end. So this team definitely thinks they can come and get us, so we've been locked in. And, the kids are excited. It's homecoming week, and we're ready to go get 4-0.
I'm going to ask you an unfair question because it involves looking ahead past North Mahaska, and I know you guys are not looking forward to district play. You've got a game tomorrow night. But obviously last year there was a big difference between the first 4 games and then when the district games came about. Do you think, compared to last year's team, do you think this team has made better progress toward being prepared for the district schedule? And as a coaching staff, what improvements would you like them to show tomorrow night to kind of show you guys, hey, they're ready this time?
Yeah, I would say so. Last year we were still kind of had some freshmen that were learning the ropes, figuring out the plays. So now those guys are sophomores, Maddox being one of them. So he's, starter now. So he's had a whole year under his belt, actually switched positions. Last year he played a lot of receiver for us. Now he's playing quarterback. So just a lot of, I would say, more sure of ourselves type play and a lot more, I would say, excitement around getting scores and different things. So the kids are learning how to win. And I would say we are getting ready for district play. We're going to want to run the ball tomorrow. We're going to want to use some other guys other than Griffin and get everybody involved and, just go after and get, that 4th win on the season.
And you mentioned briefly a moment ago homecoming and haven't won homecoming in a long time. I was going to ask you how much different the atmosphere is for a homecoming game, but I would think given the success the team has had now the last 2 years in the first part of the season and the fact that it's been so long since you guys have won homecoming, it's going to be a pretty wild atmosphere tomorrow night.
Oh, yeah, I hope so. Hopefully the community shows up and gives their support. Last 2 years they've showed up since I've been there. We're just trying to deliver a win for them and keep them excited, keep people in the stands, and get them ready to come and watch district games too.
Tyler Archer, assistant coach for the Cardinal Comets here, and now we'll turn the attention to the players. We'll start with the senior Jarrett Griner, offensive guard, defensive end, and went through the stats. You've already got 3 fumble recoveries, and you've scored a touchdown this season. Obviously, you've been in the right spot at the right times. How much work goes into being prepared to take advantage when you have a chance to force a turnover? Because a lot of people think turnovers are just luck, but I know that the players and the coaches in practice are working all the time on getting turnovers.
Yeah, our coaches really put an emphasis on special teams and stuff like that. We go through circuits every day of stripping the ball and fumble recoveries, and I feel like we really emphasize that more than other teams do, so I feel like that really helps us out.
Now, you've been in this program for 4 years, so you've seen the ups and the downs, and there's still a lot of football left to play, obviously, this season. But it feels like, from an outsider's perspective, it feels like this team is elevating its play above where it's been before. Is there anything you can put your finger on that sets this edition of the Comets apart from the past few seasons?
I think we've learned from the last couple of years that we need to step our game up, and winning definitely helps, but knowing how to win and what we do after we win really helps, and just playing physical and tough. Football is a physical game, and playing physical is what we have to do to win, and I think we figured that out.
Again, Jared Griner, the offensive guard, defensive end for Cardinal, and I'll have you hand the headset down there to sophomore quarterback Maddox Jones, and it's a name I've said a lot back and forth with Coach Miller the first few weeks of this show, and obviously you're off to a great start this season. The numbers speak for themselves, 8 touchdowns, only 1 pick, a lot of passing yards. Maybe take a moment here as we bring you on and maybe nitpick yourself. Look at yourself a little bit, maybe from a coach's perspective. Where would you like to get better? Where can you get better as a quarterback?
Probably on my feet. I'm not a very mobile guy. I use my arm as an advantage.
Now, you are leading the team. You're one of the team leaders because the quarterback kind of has to be a team leader, obviously. But just as a sophomore, obviously, you guys have senior leaders as well, like Jared here, like Connor Mason and Brody Adam. We had them on the show last week. How much do you, as a sophomore, maybe the other younger guys on the team, how much do you guys lean on these seniors for guidance each week?
It definitely helps having an upperclassman line, and they help us a lot. They get us through practice, and yeah.
Now, I asked the Coach Archer this. You've got North Mahaska tomorrow night. Obviously, that's where your focus is, and I don't want Coach Miller coming back here next week and saying you're getting my guys focused where they shouldn't be. But I do want to ask you briefly. You were here last season, and you saw the 4-0 start, and then how it finished. Do you feel like, as you go into this final non-district game, you feel like you guys are better prepared for what's going to come at you in district play next week?
Yeah, we're definitely a bigger, stronger team than last year, and we can do a lot more things with the ball, and our defense is a lot stronger, so I think we're ready.
All right, Maddox Jones, the quarterback for Cardinal High. Jared Griner, lineman on both sides of the ball. Tyler Archer, assistant coach. Guys, thanks so much for coming on the show today, and certainly best of luck tomorrow against North Mahaska. I'm going to predict a Cardinal win. I think I can go out on a limb and say that, and then hopefully you guys will be ready to face Pekin next week, and I'm expecting that one to be a barn burner. But again, I don't want to take your focus away. North Mahaska is what you worry about tomorrow night. That's Cardinal. We will take a quick timeout. Remember, Cardinal homecoming tomorrow night at 7 down in Eldon. And then after this break, we'll come back. We'll talk Davis County football. They're coming off their first win of the season, and they're playing Pekin this week. So I'm talking a lot about Pekin, and they're not even here. But we'll talk Davis County football with head coach Kent Anderson and a couple of his players after this. The Lee's Photography Coach's Corner on the Ottumwa Radio Sports Network.
Are you looking for someone to capture the special moments in life, such as senior photos, weddings, family portraits, baby pictures, or even your furry friends? Look no further than Lee's Photography in Ottumwa to schedule your appointment. Brian, Connie, and the staff at Lee's Photography have the knowledge and experience to capture your special moments and make your vision come to life. Visit them on Facebook to see the range of their work. Lee's Photography on East 2nd Street, across from the Courier in Ottumwa, for all your all-around photography needs.
As a National Guard or Reserve member, you served your country. Now let VA serve you.
I wouldn't be here today as a successful woman without the help that I received.
Your VA honors your service by providing a wide range of veterans benefits. From home loans to job training, VA benefits can help with some of life's toughest challenges.
What's important about VA benefits is they don't just touch you as an individual. They can touch your parents, maybe your grandparents, your child.
Go to benefits.va.gov/guardreserve to learn more, including how to apply online using eBenefits.
I just finished a master's degree recently, and now I'm working on another degree as well. So the military made that all possible. My veterans benefits made that all possible.
No matter what the time is, apply for your benefits. You earn them. VA is ready to help you.
Achieve your next mission. Learn about and apply for your VA benefits today.
Welcome back to the Lee's Photography Coach's Corner on the Ottumwa Radio Sports Network.
And we continue on the Lee's Photography Coach's Corner on 1240 AM, 102.7 FM, KBIZ, and the live video stream at AttumwaRadioSports.com. Jason Van Arkel with you from Lee's Photography in downtown Ottumwa. And in our final segment, we're going to talk Davis County football. The Mustangs now 1-2, a 28-0 win, their first win of the season on the road last week at Van Buren. This week, the Mustangs take on another regional foe as they welcome Pekin to Bloomfield. Kent Anderson, the head coach of the Mustangs, joining us as he has every week this season, and we're joined by a couple of Mustang players as well, seniors Caden Hill and Riley Heller, and we'll get to them in just a few moments. Coach, welcome back, and congratulations on getting that first win. You know, I had all the stats in front of me. I had a bunch of stuff here, and that piece of paper has disappeared, so we're going to wing this a little bit. But talk about the win. Obviously, it's good to go get a win, but let's talk defense first. Your defense gets a shutout. I think it was 3 turnovers forced, kept them off the scoreboard the entire game. That had to make it that much sweeter for those guys.
It is. It was I think it was a testament. It was a real test of some fortitude for us because they run that 3 yards in a cloud of dust style of offense. So when that happens, it can get frustrating. They would just chop at yards and take time off the clock, and your offense is standing around. But the defense did a great job of just, containing that, and the offense, and it was opportunistic when we got the football. Caden had a scoop and score of about 50 yards on a fumble. That was a big key turning point right in the end of the first half, which is a big thing. So I was really proud of the defense, and a lot of these guys played both ways. Both these gentlemen do. And it was a great win. I think we held them to under 200 yards of offense, I believe. And we're just proud to have that win. We'll take a W. It wasn't pretty, but, when you play against that style of offense, the game doesn't have the flow. You got one team trying to hurry up, the other team trying to slow it down, and it just doesn't gel. But I was proud to get the W.
And offensively, we talk about quarterbacks every week. Carson Mater had the best start of his young career. 3 touchdown passes. I want to say it was 17 for 25, so pretty good completion percentage there. Seems like his decision-making has gotten better and better as the season has gone along, and he put it all together for good performance on Friday night.
He did. You're correct. It was about 17 of 25. Well, I was just pleased with the decision-making, a lot of it, and Caden will attest to that because he's a quarterback as well. And he could be out there just as easy, but he's a great linebacker too, so I don't want to wear him out. But, a lot of it's pre-snap decisions, what we're going to do with the football, and then understanding where we want to go once we make the decision to throw it, and he did a really good job. I was happy to see that. It allows it takes pressure off us when Carson plays like that because it takes pressure off of our defense as well and Caden.
Now I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit here because, again, I've apparently misplaced all the notes and all the notes I had about other guys who had good games. If you can recall just some of the other names that I don't have in front of me who played well, who showed improvement, who maybe stood out, even if it didn't show on the stat sheet, stood out and played a good game, maybe the best game they've played in this young season.
Week in and week out, he's been a great player for us, both sides of the ball, and he's really new to football. It's Carson Zittler. Carson had a nice, that first catch was just a little 6-yard hitch, but he made a move and then took it down the sidelines for our first score. But he's a great tackler, and he's not a big kid, and he's got in the weight room this summer and decided to play football, and he's contributed both sides of the football very well. He's got great energy. And sometimes your energy and things like that don't get enough credit. I say this a lot just in my own life. I think that, culture eats strategy for breakfast. And Carson brings that culture. And, these two guys right here, they bring a great culture to the football program. So Carson Zittler, being a new kid in the program, has done a great job. Riley Heller, we've talked about him just playing both ways. And you can see he's a big, strong young man, and he's contributed so much, and he had a couple catches. And I believe, did you have a touchdown last week? Or was it the... Okay. So, I know he caught the ball real well and tackled real well. Gavin McCall, a linebacker, running back, he had a key catch on a 4th down conversion to put the ball in the end zone right before halftime, right before Caden scoop and score. So there's a lot of kids contributing. I think Dalton Main was also a new one to the program. He wrestles heavyweight for us. He had 4 sacks, and it's his first year of varsity football. So, and he's a junior. So all those names, Carson and Dalton are coming back. I wish these two were, but unfortunately they're not. But they're contributing every week like they should be, like seniors with experience and good football players.
And hopefully we can talk more about that have more conversations like this, I should say, as the season goes along. And, we've talked so much about how young this team is and how they're growing. I think it's fair to say we're seeing a lot of growth. And obviously it maybe shines through more in a win when everything goes well and everybody's happy on the bus ride back. But win or lose, I think it seems like your kids are really going in the direction you want them to go.
I think they are. I could see, I'll take Dalton Main for an example. He got better as the game went on. There was a point in the game, and I watched him out there. I thought, we might have to make a switch. And all of a sudden, he just starts getting reps, and just things are clicking for him. And he has 4 sacks and gains confidence. Carson Zittler, since his first touchdown, has gained confidence. Confidence is a huge thing. And as these young players begin to get more reps and begin to have a little success, they'll gain confidence, and confidence will help with our team.
All right, before we move on to the players, I want to talk about playing Pekin tomorrow night. Now, the Panthers are not used to being 0-3. I don't think any of us are used to seeing them 0-3. But they went out last week and they gave a top 10 Mediapolis team a really good game, a 6-point game. So even though Pekin is not where they've been in past years, and kind of like your team, they're a lot younger than they used to be, but I would imagine that to you they're just as dangerous as ever.
Oh, boy, are they. I think they're probably one of the best teams we've played. Looking at them on film, and we played Centerville, and Keokuk has done really well. And I think they might be the best team. I'm not even looking at their record. I could care less about their record. We look at them on film, and they do what they do so well. And they do it year in and year out. And I liken it to when we used to play Oklahoma when out in the old Big 8 conference. Everybody knew that they lined up in the wishbone, and everybody knew in the stadium that was going to be the triple option, and we knew it, and our defensive coordinator knew it. And nobody could stop it. So Pekin, we know what they're going to do pretty much, but it's the key is you got to stop it. They do that so well. So our thing is just going to, again, just try to play good football, try to keep improving. We have a tremendous amount of respect for them. We do, and we know they're a good program, but we practice too, and we like to try to win as well.
All right, Kent Anderson, the head coach of Davis County football, and now we will bring in star linebacker Caden Hill. Or maybe should I say linebacker and quarterback and kicker. And I don't know if Caden saw the opening show, but you and I were joking about could he possibly long snap to himself. I'd pay $10 to see that. But seriously, Caden, first question I have for you, because you play both ways and you've done both of these things, I want to ask you, what is a bigger thrill for you, to throw a touchdown pass as a quarterback or do what you did last week, scoop and score a 52-yard fumble return? Which was more of a thrill for you?
Well, I'd have to say the scoop and score because that doesn't really happen very often, and it's just making something happen, you know. So.
All right. A bit of a more serious note here. You are a senior, and Riley a senior too, on a team full of younger players, a lot of sophomores playing. How much of a responsibility do you feel to be a leader to those guys, and how much have you seen them grow over the first 3 weeks of the season?
Well, there's a lot of guys that have matured very much in the past year since they were freshmen starting. You know, Caden Glosser, Gavin McCall, Dalton Reeves, you know, even Carson Mater. They've matured a lot, and that really helps us in our leadership roles and even the other seniors and juniors that aren't so much in their playing time and stuff, you know, they see the younger guys working hard, so then that pushes them a little bit more. So it just kind of takes the load off of us a little bit, you know.
All right, and real quickly, because we're starting to run out of time here, I'll have you hand the headset over to Riley Heller, the pass catcher and defensive end for Davis County, another senior. And Riley, thanks for joining us on the show. And I'll ask you a similar question I asked Caden, because you've done both of these things this year. You've caught a touchdown pass, and you've gotten a sack. Which is more fun for you, to catch that TD pass or get in the backfield and get a big sack and push the offense back?
Oh, well, I like them both kind of equally. I like just doing whatever's best for the team. I mean, scoring touchdowns gets points, and getting a sack, it's starting to lose my voice. I don't know, like a second long or third long, it helps out the team.
And one more quick question before we run out of time here. As a senior looking at this team, and they're so young, you got that first win of the season last week. When you got back to practice, the first practice after that win, did you sense any difference in the confidence? Guys had maybe a little more, had their heads up a little higher, a little more, pep in their step, or however you want to say it. That that hard work was starting to pay off now.
Yeah, I felt like they kind of changed a little bit. That finally the first one's over, so they think they can kind of build on that. Hopefully, we do better throughout the season. Let's build on that win.
All right, and the season continues tomorrow night for Davis County at home, taking on the Pekin Panthers. We will have that game online and on the air. The Mustang broadcast is on the live video stream at AtumwaRadioSports.com. Ellis Kojo will have the call tomorrow night. And then we do have the Pekin broadcast with Scott Frazee on the call. That will be on 101.5 KISS FM. So, Coach, it seems like I've said this 2 weeks in a row. I can't tell you I hope you win because we cover both teams, but I definitely wish you luck. It's good to see your team get a win, good to see your team improving, and we'll sit down next week and hopefully talk about another good effort from the Mustangs here on the Coach's Corner.
Yes, sir. Thank you. We're looking forward to that.
And that'll do it for the Lee's Photography Coach's Corner. Thanks for watching here on the Ottumwa Radio Sports Network.